Please pray with me. Lord, I speak in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. This is the last time we will be here. Hopefully I will be back in the future, once I get my permission to officiate, and then I can, if I behave myself, I might get invited by Simon and Maggie to come and do the occasional service for you. The long purpose, we're going to be supporting you through your interregnum. Now, it's an interesting conundrum that I have always been drawn by the commentator Tom Wright. He was the Bishop of Durham at one time, and then he retired and then went back into writing. He's very famous for writing his commentaries, not only on the Gospels, but for the rest of the New Testament. And what I've always loved about Tom is he will take the most difficult Bible reading and will put it into ordinary speech. He will put it into some kind of circumstance that you will understand. And he said today's Gospel reading is a particularly difficult one. He said if you try and look at it normally, everything that is happening just doesn't make sense. Peter recognized Jesus Christ was the Messiah, the Son of God. So logically speaking, the disciples should be getting together with Jesus and saying, okay, you have come to show people on earth that they're living wrong, so we need to do something to put things right. So let's go up to Jerusalem and get lots of followers en route and get a big army and get rid of the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and we'll make you king. You say you are king, you are God, you are with God, you are the king on earth, you are God incarnate. So God has sent you to show us that things are not right. Now Jesus said that is not the way it's going to happen. And one thing Tom Wright showed us in the commentary for this particular reading is, I don't know how many of you have read the Victorian novel Alice Through the Looking Glass. And this was brought out, he obviously did, he wrote Alice in Wonderland in 1865, and it was such a success. He then decided to go on to write Alice Through the Looking Glass. And I don't know if any of you have ever looked in the mirror. I'm sure, even with the dread of old age and all the creases coming in, you do have to look at yourself occasionally. But have you noticed the image that you get is very slightly different from the image that somebody who has taken a photograph of you then gives you? You think, well, it looks a bit like me, but it doesn't look like the image that I see in the mirror. Now that's because as you're standing there looking at the mirror, you are seeing that side, and that side is over there. And so it gives you a mirror image, which is slightly distorted. So when you look at a photograph of yourself, it doesn't look quite the same as you're used to seeing in the mirror. It is all the rules and regulations have been changed slightly. And this is what Jesus Christ is talking about to us today. And this is what Tom Wright said. If you want to understand that gospel reading, you're going to have to look at things a bit skewed. If suddenly somebody said to you, right, God has said you're going to be king of the whole world, you might think, right, well, to get things right, I'll get rid of Donald Trump and I'll get rid of Boris Johnson and all the other leaders, and we'll do things God's way. God doesn't actually work like that. The way that Jesus Christ knew that he was going to come into the world to save people from their sins wasn't the way that you might have predicted that it should have been done. What did he do? Did he do things the right way, or did he do things slightly skewed? Well, if slightly skewed is he has all the power and all the authority and he can do exactly as he likes, what does he do? He goes up to Jerusalem, he faces a sham trial, he gets the most dreadful abuse of being whipped and lied about, and then he is crucified on the cross and he hangs there till he dies. Well, if that isn't going backwards to go forwards, I don't know what is. But what then happened? He rose again from the dead. The Holy Spirit came. He attracted many, many followers. And because he had died, the Holy Spirit was there to encourage people to follow him. And his whole religion took over the whole world. That was the logical thing to do. But at the time, when Jesus was telling the disciples what was going to happen, Peter said, look, Jesus, you can't allow this to happen. You know, there has to be a better way. And Jesus Christ said to Peter, take care, for you are doing Satan's work. You are not doing God's work. Now, what is that for us today? Let me pull all these things into the modern day world. Here we are living in a totally new environment, a totally new global pandemic. COVID-19 has completely changed the way that we act, the way that we are communicating, the way that we are interacting with other people. Who would have ever believed a year ago what is happening to us today? And as Christians also, Jesus Christ is saying to us, a fresh approach is needed. We are to consider change as an important part of what Christianity is all about. I am going through a period of change. Andrew and myself were busy packing up the vicarage, and we shall be going in the middle of September just down to Newmarket, not very far away. So we are going to be undergoing a lot of change. And people keep saying to me, aren't you frightened? Aren't you worried? What are you going to do? And I said, I have no idea. All I know is I'm going down to Newmarket. I will be making a new life for myself, and I trust that God will be there with me and show me what he wants me to do. These are going to be a totally new set of rules and regulations for us. Can I embrace the change? Yes, I can. Am I going to do it on my own? No, I'm not. Not only is Andrew with me, and he will be facing the change with me, but we also believe, and we're praying every day, that change will happen in our lives, and that we will be there ready to embrace that change. And I think going back to the Gospel reading today, we have to learn to accept what is happening to us. We have to learn to accept the fact that God is often going to ask difficult things of us, and we have to hold on to that faith, and we have to hold on and embrace the change that is going to happen. So my prayer and my desire for you all today, as you go into Interregnum, you've got some wonderful church wardens here who are going to look after you and guide you, and then hopefully you'll, well, I know you're going to get a new vicar. Who they're going to be, whether it's going to be male or female, I do not know. But I do believe in the change, and I will do everything I can, living down in Newmarket, one, not to come into the year, but two, to embrace the change that you're going to face, and we'll be there ready for that person if they need any advice or any help on every experience that I've had in the 3.5 years that I've been with you. So be ready to embrace change. Be ready to understand that Jesus Christ is asking us to stop looking in the mirror, to turn around and look at life and to see it as it really is. It won't be very, very different from what we're used to, but it might well be slightly different. Jesus Christ is always asking us to try and change things around just very slightly, to try and get things into perspective, into his perspective, into God's perspective for us. Amen.